One Bible on earth still holds the lost books, the rest of the world set aside, the scriptures of fallen angels, giants, and a prophet who walked with God, and it has guarded them for over 1,000 years in the mountains of Ethiopia. The narrative of First Enoch begins with a dramatic disruption of the cosmic order. In the ancient Ge'ez text of the Book of the Watchers, a group of 200 heavenly beings makes a fateful pact. Led by Semjaza and Azazel, these celestial entities, known as the Watchers, bound themselves with mutual oaths and descended to earth, landing on the summit of Mount Hermon. Once there, they chose human wives and began fathering children, but their disruption of the natural order went far deeper. The ancient text states that these Watchers taught humanity specialized, forbidden secrets. Semjaza instructed them in root cutting and sorcery, while Azazel revealed the arts of metalworking, showing humans how to fashion swords, knives, shields, and breastplates, alongside the creation of dyes, cosmetics, and jewelry. This account directly expands upon the cryptic sons of God passage in Genesis chapter 6, where the canonical Hebrew Genesis offers only a few brief sentences about these unions. The Book of Enoch provides a detailed, dramatic story of cosmic transgression. However, modern historians draw a firm line between these narrative claims and historical verification. While the text describes a supernatural rebellion, archaeology does not confirm the existence of Watchers or their descent on Mount Hermon. What historians can verify through physical evidence like the Aramaic fragments found among the Dead Sea Scrolls is the antiquity of the text itself. These discoveries prove that this literary tradition was actively circulated and studied by Jewish communities in the Second Temple period, establishing the book as a vital piece of ancient religious history, rather than a modern invention. The union between these celestial beings and mortal women produces a breed of massive offspring, the Nephilim. The text describes these giants consuming the labor of humanity until resources fail, eventually turning their insatiable hunger toward humans themselves, devouring flesh and drinking blood. This rampant violence and systemic corruption plunge the earth into absolute chaos, presenting a direct causal link to the catastrophic Great Flood. Amid this ruin, the narrative shifts from earthly devastation to cosmic judgment. Enoch, an earthly patriarch, is recruited as a witness and carried away on ascents through the heavens. Guided by archangels, he is shown the mechanics of the cosmos, the pristine order of creation, and the dark, fiery prison where the rebellious Watchers are bound to await their ultimate sentencing. By framing the crisis on a cosmic scale, the Book of Enoch transforms a brief, cryptic, biblical reference into an epic struggle between divine purity and primeval evil, establishing a terrifying moral universe that continues to captivate readers today. Early Christian writers read and cited the book. In the Epistle of Jude, verses 14 and 15, the author quotes the Book of Enoch directly by name, writing, "Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied, saying, Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment on all." This matches chapter 1, verse 9 of the Book of Enoch. For early Christians, this was a familiar authoritative work, around the year 200, the theologian Tertullian defended the book, using its account of fallen angels, teaching women the arts of cosmetics and jewelry to make his moral arguments. While other regions eventually stopped copying the text, the Christian kingdom of Ethiopia kept it. Scribes in the Ethiopian highlands translated the entire work into Ge'ez, preserving the complete text for centuries when it survived nowhere else in full. While Ethiopia preserved these works in their entirety, the Western and Byzantine churches took a different path. The absence of books like Enoch and Jubilees from Western Bibles was not the result of a secret ban, a midnight decree, or a conspiratorial cover-up. Instead, it unfolded through an open, centuries-long process of debate, analysis, and systematic historical decisions. The primary factor was their status within Jewish tradition. When early Christian scholars set out to define the boundaries of the Old Testament, they sought continuity with the Hebrew Scriptures, because the Jewish communities who compiled those Scriptures did not recognize Enoch or Jubilees as inspired. Western church leaders hesitated to adopt them. There was also the challenging issue of historical origin. While these books claim the names of the ancient patriarch Enoch or the lawgiver Moses, readers noted that their style and content pointed to a much later origin. Modern scholars confirm they were composed during the Second Temple period, roughly between the 3rd and 1st centuries before Christ. For many early theologians, this vast gap between claimed authorship and historical reality undermined their sacred authority. This division split the early Christian world. Around the year 200, the theologian Tertullian defended Enoch, arguing that its moral lessons and prophetic passages deserved Christian respect. But by the late 4th century, the consensus turned. Scholars like Jerome rejected books absent from the Hebrew canon, while Augustine of Hippo argued that Enoch's origins were far too questionable to establish doctrine. Their skepticism proved decisive at the councils of Hippo in 393 and Carthage in 397, which codified the Western canon. By the 5th century, the Western and Byzantine churches had moved on. Outside of Ethiopia's complete translation, these texts largely vanished from active use, surviving only in scattered Greek and Latin fragments. In the 4th century, the kingdom of Achaesim, located in modern-day Ethiopia, officially adopted Christianity under King Ezana. This conversion, led by the Syrian missionary Frumentius, established one of the oldest Christian kingdoms in the world, operating at a geographic and political distance from the theological battlegrounds of Rome and Constantinople. The Ethiopian Church developed its own distinct traditions. Its sacred liturgy and scriptures were translated into Ge'ez, the local Semitic language, creating a highly sophisticated manuscript culture. While the Mediterranean world consolidated and narrowed its biblical canon, the Ethiopian Church maintained an open, continuous tradition of preservation. Scribes in remote highland monasteries painstakingly copied and protected works like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees for centuries. These were not hidden texts, but active parts of their liturgical and theological life. For centuries, Western scholars doubted the authenticity of these works, often viewing them as late medieval inventions confined to East Africa. That skepticism was upended in 1947 with the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Qumran caves. Among the ancient Hebrew and Aramaic manuscripts Archaeologists uncovered 11 distinct Aramaic fragments of the Book of Enoch, dating back over 2,000 years. These physical discoveries, edited by scholars like J.T. Millick, provided clear evidence that these texts were genuinely ancient, widely read by Jewish communities during the Second Temple period, and faithfully preserved by the scribes of Ethiopia when other traditions had set them aside. Today, these texts stand as an open window into the ancient mind, proving that history is never truly lost, only waiting to be read. They remind us that the boundaries of sacred tradition are far broader than we assume. Share your thoughts below and subscribe to continue the journey.